Hello, welcome back to Betting to Win UK with me, the Prophet. And in this video, we're going to have a look at the Champion Hurdle, which was always one of my favourite races of the year, but sadly, it seems it's lost a little bit of its lustre. So many of the best horses go straight over fences after their novice season hurdling these days that we rarely get to see the best of the best. Nevertheless, it's an intriguing clash. I'm recording this ahead of Constitution Hill's appearance at Southall on Friday on the flat, on the all-weather, though what that will tell us, I'm not quite sure. Personally, I think they missed a trick with him by not running him on the flat when he was 5 or 6 years old. He stood in his box, didn't he? Or, spent time out in the field between Cheltenham, pretty much, and the fighting fifth at Newcastle in December when he was at the peak of his powers. I remember at the time thinking, put him on the flat. If he's rated 170 or whatever over hurdles, he should be rated 125 on the flat, But anyway, they didn't, and now they've got a 9-year-old. And a 9-year-old with seemingly multiple issues. He's had his health problems, of course, but now he's had his jumping problems, falling 3 times, and then also that flop at Punchestown. So big question marks over him. Undoubtedly the best horse in the race. If he comes back to 80-90% of his best, he'll win it and win it easily. But that's the big question mark. I would have thought they would have done better going to the Kingwell at Wincanton, but no. We don't know what this is really in aid of here at Southall, other than for the horse to show his well-being. If he goes and wins easily, then what happens? Do they go for the Cigaro Stakes or something else on the flat and aim him at the Ascot Gold Cup? Or is he only a Group 2 horse, Group 3 horse on the flat? Perhaps even a handicapper. Who knows? I can understand they need to find out what they've got, but how is this going to help put him in the Champion Hurdle picture? Nicky had said, there's a limit to how many more times we can ask him and Nico to do that after he fell at Newcastle. Not fair on the horse, not fair on the jockey. And it's been suggested in some quarters that he's been over-schooled and therefore got complacent. He does so much jumping that it's driven him a bit bonkers. Well, something's gone wrong because he keeps jumping on hurdles rather than over them. And, that's obviously you can't do. So he's the big enigma. He's really shortened up in the betting in the last couple of weeks into 7-2 in most places, behind the front two in the betting, who are, of course, the new lion for the Dan Skelton yard. And I always forget whether it's Better Days Ahead or Brighter Days Ahead, because there's 2 of them running around at the moment, aren't there? Brighter Days Ahead. The mare trained by Gordon Elliott, who won so well at Leopardstown and has threatened to be an absolute superstar. In fact, if you listen to Gordon, she is an absolute superstar. And she certainly put Lossymouth in her place last time. And I wouldn't have Lossymouth for this at all, in spite of the fact that she supposedly loves Cheltenham and all that. She's really a 2.5 miler. I think that we'll get the same result in the matchup between her and Brighter Days Ahead, should they both turn up. We don't know about Lossymouth, of course. Every chance she'll simply go to the mares, where she'll be a short price favourite. I think it might be interesting to take her on in that, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, I can't have her in this, so we'll put a line through Lossymouth. Brighter Days Ahead. People question her Cheltenham record, but although she was beaten by Golden Ace in the Mares Novices a couple of years ago, she did give Golden Ace weight that day and came out as the best horse in the race. Golden Ace herself, of course, went on to win the Champion Hurdle last year in fortuitous circumstances, and followed up in almost equally fortuitous circumstances in the fighting fifth at Newcastle. Tom Siegel's put her up, 1 or 2 other good judges. I don't think she's good enough. I think she'll be found out this time. I don't see any reason why she won't make the frame, but I can't see her winning it again. Would be quite extraordinary if she did. Interesting little footnote. I bumped into the owner, or the owner's wife, in Somerset just a day or two after the result. She was buying the newspapers with all the headlines in them, and I saw her at the counter buying the newspapers and asking for yesterday's Racing Post. I asked why, and she said, "Oh, well, because we won the champion hurdle." Absolutely extraordinary. So, very nice woman. We had a photograph taken. That was that. So, Golden Ace, well, good luck to them going for it again, but I can't see it happening. But I'll, keep brighter days ahead in mind for the moment. But the new Lion is the new kid on the block. He of course won the Turners last year. People crabbing that form, and quite understandably so. He beat the Yellow Clay and Final Demand, neither of whom have absolutely covered themselves in glory since. He could do no more than win. The only time he's been beaten over timber is when he fell at Newcastle. The bare form of the win at Cheltenham in January wouldn't be anything like good enough. A length and a half defeat of Nemean Lion, who's a decent horse in his own right, but Nemean Lion was actually giving him £3 that day. But it was a trial. That's the key word, trial. And Harry Skelton was keen to teach him to hurdle, jumping quite short, as they say, getting into the bottom of the hurdle, not reaching for the hurdles, but just popping over them. It's funny how jumping has become such an issue for these Grade 1 hurdlers all of a sudden, and yet you can watch handicap hurdlers jump impeccably almost every day of the week. So obviously he's got a huge chance. I backed Hardy Eustace all those years ago when he won the champion hurdle at a much, much bigger price, 33 to 1, having won the Turners the year before. Course form, festival form, absolutely crucial, of course. So, the fact that the new Lion has been and done it at Cheltenham is key. I did have him over Brighter Days Ahead. I'm starting to question that decision just as I've started recording this video. So I'm not going to put one up at this point. This is a bit more of a ramble, really. No need to have a bet in every race, of course. That's worth bearing in mind. There will be a bet on the day, whether it's without the favourite, extra place market, place only, forecasts, whatever. There's all kinds of things. And as one gets nearer to the race and thoughts mature, we get more information about the well-being of the horses in the 48 hours immediately before the race, how, what are the vibes and all the rest of it, then one can make a better, make a more informed opinion. But at this point, I had favoured the new Lion, but I'm not quite so sure. Perhaps Brighter Days Ahead. Of course, she gets the mare's allowance, the £7. Perhaps she's right this year. Gordon didn't feel she was 100% the whole of last season. Of the others, we've mentioned Golden Ace. The enigma that is Constitution Hill, who knows? Is he even going to turn up? It's looking increasingly likely that he will. He's shortening in the betting all the time. He's one of the reasons why you can't really put anything up now. On the day, 4 to 1, I don't know. 2 to 1, definitely not. It's a while now since he showed his best form. Let's run through the others then. Alexi, course and distance winner, come the handicap route. Workman-like win in the Kingwell at Wincanton. Beating Rubo a length and a quarter, not nowhere near good enough on the numbers. But if it came up soft, he's a 6, he's the right age, he's got that course form. He might be an interesting each-way poke for the Tizzards. I'd want to see what kind of form the Tizzard yard are in going into the race. Of course, last year at one point, I think he had 3 or 4 winners on one day. looked absolute world beater, and then a few weeks later, nothing could win. So the yard has become a little bit streaky. Nevertheless, Alexei possibly won for the each way multis. There are 13 in it at the moment. I hope we get 8. He's definitely going to go, so you can count him in for 1. Amsterdam, will he even turn up? Willie says he's disappointed him this year, quite understandably. A lot of people thought he was going to be, real champion hurdle contender. He went to Newcastle, appeared to be beaten fair and square by Golden Ace, although it was a very messy race. Has then been beaten by the mares twice at Leopardstown. Isn't really showing any improvement on the numbers as he turned from 5 to 6, which you might have expected. His last 4 RPRs: 159, 156, 159, 156. So he needs to take a bit of a jolt forward, and I'm not sure where that's going to come from. Ballyburn probably won't go. He might be interesting if he does, but he doesn't appear to really have the pace for 2 miles, because he was thumped by Sagino in a 2-mile chase and hasn't run over 2 miles since then. In fact, he's been campaigned over staying distances, including at the Christmas Hurdle at Leopardstown, where he was well beaten by Tiapu, having previously, and I backed him this day, been beaten a nose at Fairy House over 2.5 miles in the Grade 1 there. That would be his best trip. I would chuck him in the Ryanair if he was mine. I mean, I know he's hasn't come across as a natural chaser, but you might as well run him at the right trip, and that field looks like being quite thin, so why not put Ballyburn in the Ryanair? But I don't think he's even entered. I think the Stayers Hurdle is his likely destination if he goes anywhere at all. Cashel Lad, well, I think he will probably turn up. Let's just see if he's entered up in any of the handicaps. He might be in the County Hurdle or the Coral Cup. He has sort of improved. No, he's only in the Champion Hurdle, and even if only to keep Brighter Days Ahead company, I would imagine he'll turn up. He's 6 lengths behind Lossiemouth last time, posting a personal best post rating of 159. So he has made sort of steady improvement through the grades. He's the right age at 6. 50 to 1 shot. Again, I could see him making the frame. I'm not going to back him to do so at this point. But there would be worse ones to stick in your each way multis. If we get 9, of course you can go each way 3 places without the favourite or without the second favourite at shorter odds. If you've got sort of 33 to 1 without the top one, without either of the front 2 in the betting, that would be a thing. You'd only need to come 4th to get paid out at a nice each way price. So he's one to keep an eye on. Constitution Hill we've discussed. Lucky Place, I don't think he'll turn up. But Nicky's left him in. I'm not quite sure what for at this point. He's not really good enough, and he hasn't run over 2 miles for a long time. Poniros will go. He's interesting. Stayed on from a long way back in the Irish Champion Hurdle. A long way back. Now, apparently he looked rather light when he came back in after the summer at Grass. He hadn't sort of thickened and grown in the way they'd hoped. It's taken a while to come to hand. That's why he didn't run until the beginning of February. Of course, he ran in the summer at Ascot anyway, over 2.5 miles. He's only a 5-year-old, but he might be interesting. I know I've said a few of these are interesting. Alexei, Cashel Lad and Poniros for each way purposes, and they are all interesting. As simple as that. I'm not saying back them now. I'm saying don't rule them out. They're worth second consideration. We'll have to wait and see who turns up. But obviously that Triumph Hurdle run was very decent, and Mullins with these projects, these long-term projects, has a habit of pulling rabbits out of hats. So although the Triumph Hurdle is run on the other course, he is one to bear in mind. According to Racing Post ratings, the run at Leopardstown behind the two mares was his best yet, and as I said, he did stay on very well when looking, out with the washing 2 furlongs out. So Poneros, definitely maybe, as Oasis famously said. The New Lion we've mentioned. He's done all his racing this season at 2 miles or thereabouts, having come back in trip. I don't think that's an issue. The question is he good enough? Highest Racing Post rating is 159. So, strictly speaking on the figures, Brighter Days Ahead in receipt of the weight will have the beating of him. He does need to kind of, post something a bit better than that he's done already. Arguably his most impressive performance was thumping Wendigo at Newbury, with his head in his chest, hard held, as a novice. And I must admit, although I'm a big fan of Dan and he's a tremendous target trainer, is the New Lion going to be sharp enough, good enough, quick enough? Obviously there's the question mark over his hurdling after the fall at Newcastle to win a champion hurdle. Time will tell. That's why we love the game. Nobody knows what's going to happen. That's why they run the races. But I'm not as keen on him as I was a couple of weeks ago, put it that way. Willful, I think he'll turn up for John Joe. Wouldn't appear to be good enough. I think I'd rather have Alexi. Work ahead, he's going to need a miracle. He does have that 7-length defeat of William Money in his maiden to his name, but since then has disappointed, including when coming last in the Supreme Novices last year, beaten a couple of lengths by Storm Heart in the Grade 3. That was a step in the right direction, but I can't see him troubling the principals here. And then we have the mares, the trio of mares, Brighter Days Ahead, Golden Ace, who I think will get found out this time. I'd rather have a Cashildale Lad or an Alexi at a big price than Golden Ace at 6s or 7s. She's 8 now. She won't be improving. I'm against her, and I'm against Lossiemouth even if she turns up. And there's every chance, of course, she goes to the mares. So no recommendation. That's my trawl through it. It's a case of, my current sort of number one pick would be Brighter Days Ahead. I think too much is made of her supposedly indifferent Cheltenham record. Last year's champion hurdle was a complete mess. And she does have, the potential still to be that superstar. She's 7. She should be at the peak of her powers now. And she might finally live up to the promise that Gordon has always maintained. She has. Constitution Hill. Has there been a more enigmatic horse in recent champion hurdle history? I don't think so. I can't think of one. But it is now starting to be quite a while since he showed anything like his best form. So there have to be big question marks over him, and I wouldn't want to take too short a price. I mean, if he's sort of 6, 7, 8 to 1 or something, well then okay, bit of a fun each way poke even, but I wouldn't want to be getting cramped around the 3 to 1 mark with him. I can't really see any point in getting involved there. And we'll look at a couple of the others, your Cashildale lads, your Alexis, possibly Poneros. I think although he's short enough at 16s on what he's achieved. For the each way markets on the day. Let's hope we get 9 or 10 so that you can go each way without the top 2 in the betting. And let's hope they all jump round safely. I do hope you've enjoyed this thoughtful breakdown of the champion hurdle. If you take your betting even half seriously, regardless of whether you're staking 50p or £5,000, with these big Cheltenham races, it's well worth ruminating and cogitating over a period of time, because I certainly find the longer I look at a race, the more I even change my mind and sit with a decision and then see does that feel like the right thing? Does that make sense? Not only does that make sense from a logical and form point of view and the trends and all the rest of it, but also what's your gut feeling? My gut is starting to head in the brighter Hazlehead direction. So do take your time. There's no rush to have a bet. We've still got weeks to go, and there's no need to jump into any prices. These days you have to bet on the betting as much as betting on the racing. Nobody knows what these things are going to do on the day. There could be an avalanche of money for the new line. It's a McManus horse. If he starts backing it and everybody joins in, it could go off 5-4 and you get 4 or 5-1 about brighter days ahead. It could be the other way round. Nobody knows. That's why we love the game so much unpredictability. But at the moment, there's no bet. Keep going through the runners, and do please leave your comments below. Like and subscribe. Please leave your comments below, and look forward to talking about this race again much nearer the time. Bye for now, everyone.